Captain Marcus Hale rubbed his eyes as he pushed open the door of his quarters on Valara Prime. The morning light of the alien sun glinted off the curved glass of the orbiting research station. He had expected another quiet day of routine checks on the orbital communication relays, but nothing could have prepared him for what he saw. Standing in front of him was a tall, blue-skinned woman. Her skin shimmered faintly, almost like sunlight reflecting off water, and her eyes were a vibrant violet. She clutched a small datapad tightly to her chest, and her expression teetered between nerves and determination. "I'm the woman assigned to you by local authorities," she blurted out, her voice shy yet firm. She lifted a hand in a hesitant wave, her fingers trembling slightly. Marcus blinked. "Assigned it to me?" he asked, incredulous. "Yes," she replied, nodding rapidly. "I am Torella, your partner." Marcus ran a hand through his short brown hair, feeling a mix of irritation and disbelief. He had signed up for this posting to fix satellites and ensure communication stability, not to participate in what sounded like some bureaucratic matchmaking experiment. "Well, Torella," he said, keeping his tone neutral, "I guess we'll see how this goes." She stepped inside without waiting for further invitation. Her movements were careful, precise, almost as if every motion had been rehearsed. Marcus watched her, intrigued despite himself. Humans were adaptable, sure, but Valarans were another story entirely. The first hours were awkward. Marcus tried to explain the layout of the station, the equipment he worked with daily, and the systems that controlled orbital communications. Torella listened attentively, but she occasionally tilted her head or made a small sound that suggested confusion. "On Earth," Marcus said, trying to bridge the gap, "we have a saying, if it looks broken, try not to make it worse." Torella frowned. "Humans are bold and sometimes stubborn," Marcus added, smiling faintly. "But it works." She nodded slowly, still uncertain. Marcus noticed the way she observed the station, taking in every detail, every panel, every blinking light. She moved deliberately, almost reverently, as if she were trying to understand not just the mechanics, but the purpose behind them. Hours passed. Torella assisted with minor repairs and data checks, though Marcus found himself constantly correcting her approach. He tried not to show frustration, but it was difficult. Valarans were highly logical, but their logic was different, structured in a way that often clashed with human improvisation. By mid-afternoon, Marcus decided it was time for a break. He handed Torella a small cup of replicated coffee, a bitter, dark liquid humans loved. She sniffed it cautiously, then sipped. Her eyes widened. "This is intense." "Yeah," Marcus said, chuckling. "Earth style. Gets the blood moving." She made a small noise that Marcus interpreted as laughter. It was the first sign of genuine amusement since her arrival. They moved through the station, checking relay systems one by one. Marcus was proud of his work, but he had to admit, Torella's keen perception was impressive. She noticed subtle energy fluctuations he had overlooked, suggested minor adjustments, and occasionally asked questions that forced him to think differently. Why would humans choose to work with imperfect tools? She asked suddenly, her voice curious. Marcus shrugged. "Because we believe we can make things better. And because sometimes the tools themselves teach us how to improve." Torella considered this in silence. Finally, she said, "Interesting. Humans see possibility, not only limitations." Marcus smiled, surprised at how quickly she had grasped one of the fundamental traits of humanity. Just as he began to feel a tentative sense of camaraderie, the station's emergency alarms blared. Red lights flashed and a deep siren echoed through the corridors. "What now?" Marcus muttered, grabbing his toolkit. Torella's eyes widened, but she didn't move. The orbital relay. Something. Unstable. They ran to the relay control room. Marcus quickly assessed the situation. A minor energy surge had caused a critical feedback loop. If left unchecked, it could damage the relay permanently and disrupt communications for the entire sector. "This is bad," Marcus said. "Really bad. I need access to the main panel now." Torella stepped forward, placing her hands on the interface. Her touch was light but precise. She guided Marcus through the Velaran system's protocols, translating their symbols and sequences into something he could understand. "Hold this," she said, handing him a small control module. "Synchronize with my input." Marcus hesitated for only a second. Then, trusting her expertise, he followed her instructions. The room filled with a soft hum as systems realigned. Lights stabilized, alarms ceased, and the relay returned to normal function. Marcus leaned back, wiping sweat from his brow. Well, that could have gone worse. Torella exhaled deeply, her shoulders relaxing for the first time. It seems teamwork works, she said, her voice almost a whisper. Marcus laughed. Yeah, it does. Surprising, isn't it? They spent the next hour running diagnostics to ensure everything was truly stable. During this time, Marcus noticed Torella observing him, not with scrutiny but with a quiet curiosity. You humans, she began slowly, you act without hesitation, even when the risk is great. Marcus shrugged. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't, but you have to try or nothing happens. Torella nodded thoughtfully. Perhaps this is why my people fear humans. Marcus smiled wryly. Fear can be healthy, but respect, mutual respect, that's more powerful. You learn faster when you're not afraid. The day ended with them sitting side by side in the observation deck, looking out at the twin suns of Valara Prime setting over a violet horizon. Torella's eyes reflected the fading light, and Marcus felt an unexpected sense of calm. So, he said casually, think we'll survive the rest of the assignment? Torella gave a small smile, almost shyly. I think we might. Marcus looked at her, realizing that the assignment might be far more interesting than he had anticipated, not because of the work itself but because of her presence. She was not just an alien partner assigned by authorities. She was someone who could challenge his thinking, make him adapt, and, perhaps unknowingly, teach him about himself. For the first time in weeks, Marcus felt a spark of genuine anticipation. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more misunderstandings, and no doubt more chaos. But he found himself looking forward to it. After all, humanity thrived not in comfort but in chaos. And with Torella by his side, he sensed they could face whatever Valara Prime had in store. As the observation deck lights dimmed, Torella turned to him one last time, shyly waving like she had that very first morning. Marcus waved back, smiling, and for the first time, he felt ready, not just for the assignment, but for the partnership that had begun with a simple, awkward introduction. The night stretched out before them, filled with stars, possibilities, and the quiet promise of understanding that transcended worlds. The morning sun of Valara Prime bathed the research station in a soft violet glow. Marcus Hale awoke to the quiet hum of the station's systems, feeling a strange mixture of anticipation and unease. Today would not be routine. Today he and Torella were assigned to their first joint field mission outside the safety of the station. Torella was already in the mess hall when he arrived, sipping a strange aromatic beverage native to her people. She looked up and smiled, a small, cautious gesture. Good morning, Marcus, she said. I trust you slept well. As well as anyone can sleep on a floating space station, Marcus replied, grinning. And you? I slept enough. I am ready, she said, her violet eyes sharp with determination. Their task for the day was to survey a region known as the Whispering Fields, a sprawling area where energy storms disrupted scanners and communications. It was considered dangerous territory but necessary for the station's mapping program. As they prepared their gear, Marcus noticed how meticulous Torella was. Every instrument was carefully calibrated, every tool double-checked. Marcus, by contrast, packed his bag quickly, throwing extra batteries and repair modules inside with a casual efficiency that made her gasp. You do not prepare properly, she said, frowning. I prepare differently, Marcus replied, zipping his bag shut. Trust me, it works. Torella tilted her head, clearly uncertain, but she did not argue further. Marcus had learned to respect her judgment in the station, and he hoped the same would carry over into the field. The journey to the Whispering Fields was tense at first. They rode in a hover vehicle over violet grass and jagged crystal formations, the twin suns casting long shadows behind them. Marcus enjoyed the silence, broken only by the occasional mechanical beep from the vehicle. Torella observed everything, her eyes scanning the horizon for patterns in the storms and geological anomalies. You humans adapt quickly, she said suddenly. Even when faced with danger, you find ways to survive. Marcus chuckled. Survival is kind of our thing. We make mistakes, sure, but we keep moving forward. You'll see. It's not about being fearless, it's about choosing to act anyway. Torella considered this. I see. On Valara, hesitation is valued. We weigh every risk before acting. Humans, you act first and ask questions later. Sometimes, Marcus said with a shrug, but often, that's what saves us. By midday, they reached the heart of the Whispering Fields. The air shimmered with energy, tiny sparks dancing along the grass and distant clouds of violet lightning crackled ominously. Marcus deployed the mapping scanners, but almost immediately the equipment began to glitch. "The readings are unstable," Torella exclaimed, stepping forward to adjust the instruments. Her long fingers danced over the controls with precision, translating Velaran algorithms into forms Marcus could follow. Suddenly, a violent surge of energy hit the field. The hover vehicle wobbled, and a small device exploded in a puff of smoke. Marcus grabbed Torella, pulling her to safety behind a rock formation. "Are you okay?" he shouted over the roar of the energy storm. Torella nodded, though her hands trembled slightly. "Yes, but the station did not warn us about this level of instability." Marcus studied the readings again. Something was wrong. Not a natural storm, but a residual energy pattern, as if someone had tampered with the environment. "We need to investigate the source," he said. "Come on." Together they trekked through the sparkling violet grass, following the strange energy signature. After an hour of careful navigation, they came upon a crumbling research facility half buried in the terrain. Its walls were scorched, its doors warped by past explosions. "This was a Velaran research station," Torella said softly. Awe and fear mixed in her voice. "It was abandoned years ago, after an experiment failed. They said it caused the storms in this region." Marcus stepped closer, inspecting the remaining equipment. "Looks like someone tried to hide something. Maybe the storms weren't completely natural after all." Torella's eyes widened. You could be right. The Council would never allow us to know this. If they discover we have found it..." She trailed off, her gaze distant, troubled. Marcus placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Torella, look at me. Doing nothing because we might get in trouble isn't helping anyone. Truth matters. And if we do this carefully, we can protect ourselves and the station." She met his gaze, her violet eyes searching his. Marcus had learned by now that humans often acted impulsively, but their courage came with purpose. This moment, she realized, was about more than survival. It was about integrity. With Marcus's guidance, they carefully collected data from the abandoned station. Torella translated the old Velaran logs, revealing experiments that had destabilized the environment and caused the storms. The implications were enormous. If this information reached the Council, it could change how humans and Velarans interacted politically. As they prepared to leave, a patrol of Velaran security ships appeared in the sky. Marcus and Torella ducked behind the ruined walls. "They will see us as intruders," Torella whispered, panic rising in her voice. Marcus assessed the situation quickly. "We need to send this data to both the station and Earth Command. If we get caught, the truth dies with us." Torella hesitated, but Marcus reminded her gently but firmly that doing the right thing was more important than following orders blindly. Together, they activated a portable relay device and began transmitting the information. Sparks flew from damaged equipment, and the storm intensified, making the task even more perilous. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the data uploaded completely. Marcus and Torella collapsed behind the rocks, exhausted but triumphant. You humans truly do act first," Torella said, a mixture of admiration and disbelief in her voice. "And you protect those you care for even when it is dangerous." Marcus smiled. "That's us. Stubborn, yes, but loyal, and sometimes that's enough to make a difference." The patrol ships arrived moments later, but the storm and the terrain delayed them long enough for Marcus and Torella to make a careful retreat. By the time they reached the hover vehicle, the sun had begun to dip behind the jagged horizon, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold. During the ride back, Torella remained quiet, absorbed in thought. Marcus glanced at her, curious. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "About everything," she admitted. "My people fear humans because you are unpredictable. But I see now, your courage, your willingness to act. It is not recklessness. It is choice. And there is honor in that." Marcus nodded. "Humans are strange, but we try to do the right thing, even when the odds are against us." By the time they reached the station, Torella had changed. She walked beside him, confident, even proud. Marcus realized that the bond forming between them was not just professional. It was a growing trust, built on shared danger and mutual respect. As they entered the station, the atmosphere felt lighter. Torella paused at the doorway of her quarters, looking at Marcus with a small, shy smile. "I think this assignment may teach me more than I imagined. About humans, and about myself." Marcus returned the smile, feeling a rare sense of contentment. Good, because we're only halfway through the challenges. The real test comes when the council finds out what we discovered. Tarella's eyes widened slightly. They will not be pleased. Maybe not, Marcus admitted. But that doesn't mean we should hide the truth. Sometimes doing the right thing is more important than following orders. Tarella nodded slowly, absorbing his words. For the first time, she truly understood the human element that so many Valarans feared. Courage, ingenuity, and the ability to act decisively in the face of uncertainty. That evening, the station was quiet. Marcus and Tarella sat together on the observation deck, the twin suns setting behind them. The purple sky stretched endlessly, and the gentle hum of the station was almost comforting after the day's chaos. You humans, Tarella began, her voice soft. You inspire even those who doubt you. I feel safer with you here. Marcus chuckled lightly. That's the idea. Stick with me long enough and you'll see. We survive because we adapt, we act, and we care about the people around us. Tarella's smile was small, shy, and honest. It mirrored the wave she had given him on the first day. Marcus realized that despite the bureaucracy that had forced this pairing, they had created something real, a partnership that went beyond assignment, beyond duty. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more storms, and perhaps political consequences. But for now, Marcus looked at Tarella and felt an unexpected sense of hope. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but they had a way of leaving a mark on everyone they encountered. And he had a feeling that Tarella was about to leave her mark on him too. The morning light on Valara Prime shone cold and sharp over the research station. Marcus Hale sat in the command center, reviewing logs from the Whispering Fields expedition. His eyes were tired, but he couldn't rest. Something told him that the discovery he and Tarella had made, the abandoned Velaran research station and its hidden experiments, would not remain unnoticed. Tarella entered quietly, carrying a tablet filled with her own analysis. She looked pale, her violet eyes thoughtful. Marcus, the council has been informed, she said softly. They are not happy. Marcus sighed. I expected that. Truth often angers those who prefer comfort over knowledge. Tarella nodded. They may attempt to end the exchange program. Humans are seen as unpredictable. Unpredictable, yes. But sometimes necessary, Marcus replied. We saved lives today. That counts for something. Their uneasy peace was broken when an alert flashed on the station's main monitor. A faction within the Valaran High Council had declared an emergency and placed Marcus and Tarella under investigation. A security team was en route to detain them for questioning. We need to act, Marcus said. We can't just wait to be blamed for something we didn't cause. Tarella's eyes widened. You propose action against the council? Marcus shrugged. Not against them. Against the threat. Someone is sabotaging the station to frame humans. If we do nothing, the situation worsens. The two of them moved quickly through the station's corridors, checking systems for anomalies. Marcus noticed unusual power fluctuations in the communication arrays. Tarella's fingers flew over the console as she traced the source. It is deliberate, she said, frowning. Someone wants to make it look like humans caused the reactor instability. Marcus clenched his jaw. Then we need to stop it now. Together they traced the sabotage to a hidden control panel in a remote sector of the station. The panel had been rigged to overload the reactor, which would have destroyed crucial data and potentially harmed everyone on Valara Prime. This is bad, Marcus muttered, examining the complex Valaran interface. The system was built for Velaran physiology, their fingers and thought patterns. Marcus's human hands were clumsy on the controls. You can do it, Tarella said firmly, placing her hand on his shoulder. I will guide you. Trust yourself. Marcus took a deep breath and began the override. Sweat dripped from his forehead as he followed Tarella's instructions, matching her precise movements with his own intuition. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the station trembled under the strain. Almost. There, Tarella shouted. Now pull the main override. Marcus slammed the final command. The alarms ceased. The light stabilized. The reactor's dangerous surge was neutralized. He staggered back, breathing heavily, and looked at Tarella. You did it, she said, a mixture of awe and relief in her voice. Humans are remarkable. Marcus smiled weakly. We survive. That's our talent. And sometimes we save more than ourselves. They reported the incident immediately, providing evidence of the sabotage and the faction trying to undermine the human-Valeran cooperation program. The council convened an emergency meeting. Marcus and Terela were present virtually, watching as the evidence shifted opinions. The humans acted to prevent disaster, one council member said, their voice tinged with surprise. Despite our fears, their courage and quick thinking saved countless lives. Terela turned to Marcus, her eyes shining. You see? Even those who doubt us cannot deny humanity's value. Marcus nodded. It's not about proving anything. It's about doing what's right. That's all humans have ever done, and sometimes it's enough to inspire others. Days passed. The council officially exonerated Marcus and praised Terela for her collaboration. The faction attempting sabotage was exposed and removed from power. Humanity's reputation on Valara Prime shifted from unpredictable outsiders to capable allies, a victory earned not through politics, but through courage and integrity. Despite the relief, Marcus knew the work was not over. Terela remained at his side, analyzing the newly recovered data. Their partnership had grown deeper, not just trust, but a real bond, forged through danger, challenge, and mutual respect. One evening, they sat together on the observation deck. Watching the twin suns set over the purple horizon, Terela waved shyly, just as she had on her very first day. Marcus waved back, smiling. The authorities no longer need to assign me, she said softly. I am staying. Because I choose to, Marcus chuckled. Good choice. I couldn't imagine facing Valara Prime without you now. Terela tilted her head. You inspire confidence. Even when others fear change, you face it. I admire that. Marcus felt a warmth in his chest. Humans were often praised for bravery, but it was moments like these that mattered most. Connection, understanding, and the simple act of standing together in the face of danger. The next weeks were filled with new tasks. Marcus and Terela led joint missions to stabilize old research stations, map energy anomalies, and train new recruits in cross-species teamwork. They laughed at minor mistakes, learned from each other's cultures, and discovered ways humans and Valarans complemented one another in ways neither species could achieve alone. One afternoon, as they repaired a damaged relay tower, a young Velaran approached them. Captain Hale, Terela, the recruit said, bowing slightly. I want to join your team. I want to learn. From you both, Marcus grinned. Welcome aboard. Just remember, adapt, act, and care about the people around you. That's how we survive. Terela placed a hand on the recruit's shoulder, and that is how we thrive, not just as individuals, but together. Marcus glanced at Terela, remembering the nervous wave on that first day. She had grown, just as he had, and together they had proven that partnership and trust could overcome even the most difficult challenges. That night, they watched the stars from the observation deck. Valara Prime stretched endlessly beneath them, and for the first time Marcus felt a quiet confidence about the future. Humanity had faced the unknown before and would do so again, but this time, they were not alone. Terela leaned slightly against him, her hand brushing his. Marcus, thank you for trusting me, for believing in what we could accomplish. He smiled, feeling the weight of their journey, the discoveries, the dangers, the shared victories. No, Terela, thank you for teaching me to see things differently, for being more than an assignment. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, Marcus realized the truth of humanity's greatest strength. It was not the technology they wielded, nor the speed at which they acted, nor even their stubborn resilience. It was their heart. Their courage, their loyalty, and their ability to choose what was right, even when it was hard. And as long as humans continued to act with their hearts, no star, no planet, and no council could ever underestimate them again. Terela waved one last time before turning toward her quarters. Marcus watched her, remembering that shy, nervous wave from the very first morning. It had grown into a gesture of friendship, trust, and mutual respect. Marcus smiled, feeling the warmth of connection and the hope of the future. Humanity was far from perfect, but it was unstoppable when it chose to act. And now, Valara Prime would never forget that lesson. The night stretched on, stars glittering like scattered gems, and Marcus knew one thing for certain. Together, humans and Valarans could face anything,